Could the impeachment of President backfire on the Democrats in 2020? Well, that's the big question, and the blowback has already started. Abigail Robertson brings us more from Washington.
Throughout the impeachment proceedings, Democrats made clear they wanted to target vulnerable Republicans by getting them on the record with tough votes. Now that President Trump's acquittal has led to record approval ratings, that strategy might be backfiring.
I can tell you, in all of our competitive Senate races, they're in better shape today than they were a month ago.
Not one of the GOP senators facing a tough re-election voted to impeach Trump. Republicans are also counting on impeachment fatigue to help them hang on to those Senate seats and possibly gain enough votes to flip back the majority in the House of Representatives.
I don't like Trump, but I didn't like the impeachment.
Republicans are specifically targeting districts like Congresswoman Elaine Luria's in Virginia, who was one of 7 freshman Democrats who wrote this Washington Post op-ed about impeachment, almost guaranteeing hearings would get a green light.
And I don't think we should have wasted the time doing the impeachment. We have more important business like passing budgets, which is the job of Congress.
Many voters CBN News spoke with questioned Luria's vote to convict Trump on both articles.
A lot of us didn't think that was appropriate. I don't know that I necessarily voted for Trump, but I also don't know that what was going on was something that a lot of other politicians aren't involved in as well.
But others support her decision.
Personally, I think impeachment should have went through.
Meanwhile, Democratic leadership stands by impeachment.
We have no regrets about standing up for truth and the Constitution in impeachment, but that has never slowed us down from our work.
The big question is, 8 months from now, will impeachment still be top of mind with 2020 voters? Reporting from Washington, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, Chief Political Analyst David Brody is here to talk about vulnerable Democrats. And before we begin, David, today's your birthday. May I wish you a very happy birthday?
Oh, Pat, thank you so much. I call it the double nickel 55, or I like to also call it the IHOP senior menu breakfast. I'll be doing the simple 2-egg breakfast the rest of my life, I think.
All right. Well, that's a triple. I'm glad that's a good breakfast for you. And I'm sure your analysis today is going to be equally cogent. Well, both sides are talking about impeachment politically playing in their favor. What do you think about this flipping the House? Is there any possibility?
Well, let's just go to a reality check for a moment. It is going to be hard. Impossible? No. Hard, yes. And that's because history is not the Republicans' friend here. If we can just take a quick trip down memory lane, and let's do it on my birthday, I guess, right? I mean, well, let's go way back. Ronald Reagan, in 1984, he had that landslide victory against Walter Mondale, won 49 of 50 states. In that election, the Republicans were able to gain 16 seats. Here's the problem. The Republicans this time need 18 seats. They have to flip 18 seats. So even in a landslide by Reagan, they won 16. So it's tough to do. Now, having said that, it's Donald Trump, and he's facing this impeachment that the Democrats have put on him and really the country. And so there obviously is a different set of circumstances there. So we'll see. But it is very hard. Typically, incumbent presidents, when they win, there have been 6 incumbent presidents that actually have won since World War II, and they net about 7 House seats total for their party. So it's an uphill climb statistically. Having said that, there are some tea leaves to read, and they're not good for Democrats, for sure.
David, do you think the Republicans have got the money? I mean, it's going to take a war chest to. I noticed here in the 2nd District, they're going after Elaine Luria already before the impeachment vote even took place. Do they have the money to really mount a media campaign on this?
Well, they do. As a matter of fact, over $500 million coming in between the Republican National Committee, pro-Trump groups, and the Trump campaign themselves. So they have a lot of money, and a lot of money since impeachment as well. And also, remember, Donald Trump's numbers, that Gallup poll, we've talked about that. He's at 49% approval rating, which is his highest number in Gallup. Before impeachment, that same number, that same approval rating from Gallup was 39%. He jumped 10 points because because of impeachment. And so if you kind of get into the numbers, let's look at Anthony Brittisi up in New York. I think that's a real important one to watch. He is a Democrat who voted for impeachment, and he's in a Trump district. He's in a plus 15 Trump district. And if you look at the polling inside his district, 54% of the folks inside his district in New York did not want him to vote for impeachment. They were against impeachment, but he voted for it anyhow. And now more than 41% compared to 21%. 41% say they are less likely to vote for him now because he voted for impeachment. That gives you a sense of what could be happening in many of these Trump districts. There are 31 Trump districts. In other words, these are Democrats that have won in Trump districts. That's the concern for Democrats.
Looks like the Democrats turned some important California congressmen, like in Orange County, which is pretty much a Republican area. Is there any chance of them coming back?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you mentioned that. I know Gil Cisneros, the Democrat, did win back over there in Orange County. And it's interesting because I was just out in the OC, if you will, in Anaheim, California, talking to some pastors out there. You know, they've had over 50 pastors that have, in essence, declared that they're going to run for public office, whether it be city council, potentially Congress, all of the different offices out there, just in Orange County alone, which is interesting. So there is a movement afoot by pastors in this country, actually, to get involved in the political process. And we're seeing a movement out there in Orange County. And as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, Pat, we need to do a story about that, which we will coming up on the 700 Club, I'm sure.
Well, I didn't realize that I was giving you a lead. I threw a softball and you hit it out of the park. All right, behind closed doors, what are the Democrats saying about this whole impeachment matter?
Well, they're very concerned. And I know Chuck Schumer has come out publicly and said that some of these Senate Republicans are vulnerable, like Joni Ernst and Martha McSally and Susan Collins and onward and onward. But the truth of the matter is they were already vulnerable before impeachment. In other words, Susan Collins right now is the least, she has the worst approval rating of all Republican senators right now. She's in trouble in Maine, but she was in trouble before impeachment. So this idea that Chuck Schumer is saying publicly that these Republicans are in trouble because of their votes on impeachment. Not true. As a matter of fact, if you look at some of these Senate Republicans that voted for impeachment, Susan Collins, Cory Gardner, Martha McSally, you can go down the list. Let's be honest. They voted for a couple of reasons. They voted to acquit President Trump because they didn't want a primary challenge, number one. And they're also hoping that impeachment eventually, after another 7, 8, 9 months of this, will, in essence, go by the wayside and not be so top of mind for folks that wanted this president impeached. They believe that overall the economy is doing well, a lot of other factors, and so that's why they're hoping that this will just kind of ride out. So I wouldn't believe the Chuck Schumer line so much that these vulnerable Republicans or these Republicans are in trouble in the Senate. I mean, I think it was going to always be a pretty tough race for all of them anyhow.
Okay. Well, David, again, happy 5-5, and you have a good day. God bless you.